Hi, welcome back, or if you're new, welcome. This week, I'm actually using a canvas I started from the tutorial last week. So what I did was I used plastic wrap as part of the background making in my abstract for last tutorial. And there was a lot of good paint left on the pieces of saran wrap. So I stamped them or sort of set them down on a fresh canvas, knowing that I would use that canvas for something else later on. Turns out I used it this week. So reclaim that footage from last time to show you how I did that. It makes a really interesting background, sort of like printmaking. It's really cool.
Look so dumb!
You are my worst critic, Mona.
Well, I'm trying to help ya.
I find it challenging to do a painting that is abstract but has elements of realism in it. That's actually more challenging to kind of make those two separate types of paintings to kind of work together. I do find it helpful to start out with a bit of an abstract background and then see what it says to me. And then I can paint it a little more realistically, just to give the idea of, in this case, mountains and a lake and some trees.
But why not just paint the dang picture? It would look better, don't you think? You tell her. Seems like a lot of work to make something not look like what you want it to look like. I don't know. I'm confused. What is it?
Oh, Mona, you will never quite understand. The vibe of a sort of abstract painting kind of draws you in with the mystery of it, and it's got interesting marks, so it makes you kind of pay attention, but it still gives you something real, so you can still relate to the picture. If you want realism, you can always just hang the picture on the wall. So here we are, we're getting a little more realistic now with using my fan brush just to dot on some rough trees in the background beside the mountain. Right, now I'm using a sponge just to dot some color on those background trees. I thought they were getting a little too much like trees. Loosen them up a bit. Now I'm just using a sponge to kind of create a shadow on the frozen lake of a bit of the mountain. Again, you can play at this point, adding a little white to that lake as well. Wanted it to look a little more icy. That was my thought process. Okay, now I'm using a fan brush just to detail in some of the evergreen leaves. And I'm not caring too much about colors, just various yellows, greens, that kind of thing, because I am going to cover the evergreens with snow, but you do have to have the color underneath the snow so that it looks like evergreens. I do want to tell you, don't be tight or tense when you paint these evergreens. Just be loose, have some fun with it. It's going to be covered in snow. Most of it won't be visible, so you don't have to be too nitpicky. You can just relax. No tight, no tense. The magic happens when you let go. I was using a knife to apply snow to the tree, but I was impatient and I didn't wait for the green to dry. So guess what? I'm scraping it all back off again. I'm going to start over. And I wanted to show you an example of what happens when you make a quote-unquote mistake. I don't really believe there's any mistakes in painting. There's just process, right? So part of my process is learning not to be impatient, waiting for paint to dry if I'm going to put white on, especially because white will blend with whatever you put it on top of. So I scraped it all off and then I let it dry completely. Now I'm dotting on with a sponge this time instead of the fan brush, just for fun, because I wanted to try the sponge, using a corner of the sponge and to just lightly dab some evergreen needles on there. So I'm here with Moana because she was over there like screaming at me saying, what are you doing? So I thought I'd let you come and give your opinion to the people.
I just wanted to say, I think you're supposed to be an expert. You're on YouTube. Why are you showing people what not to do?
I like to show my mistakes, Mona. No one's perfect, and actually people learn more from mistakes than we do from successes, especially in painting. It's part of the creative process, making mistakes, Mona.
Well, I think creativity sucks then, because I don't like to make mistakes. Ha! I do things right.
Say goodnight, Mona.
Good night, Mona.
Good night. She's gonna go to bed now. Simona represents my negative Nancy, my voice of dissent in my mind and my inner critic. And so I hope that, is a little fun for you. But, we all have that voice that keeps saying we're doing things wrong or we suck or all that stuff. And so it's good to be able to argue with her like in real life. Well, sort of. Argue with myself, I guess. But it's much easier to paint if you can silence that inner critic. So honestly, I'm just playing now, making myself happy. I call it my joyful winter painting. Just because winter can be kind of dreary, and so I want to just use my colors I love. I love turquoises and pinks and yellows. So I wanted to make myself happy. It's actually Christmas Eve as I'm filming this. Was trying to get this done earlier. It didn't work out. It's been a busy week. So I just thought, I know it's not a really Christmassy painting. I'm honestly getting a little tired of Christmassy stuff. So I thought, let's just do a beautiful abstracty winter scene. And so I hope you're enjoying this. I want a little bit extra sparkle of white snow at the very end of this painting. So now I'm doing my wetter white paint. So you have to wet it down with water and then you sprinkle it on with your toothbrush and gives it a little snowy look. Ta-da! Winter joy. Thanks so much for joining me on Christmas Eve. You're probably not watching this on Christmas Eve, but that's when I'm filming. So, wanted to say Merry Christmas. If it's not Christmas, Merry whatever's to you. I'll see you again next Thursday when I do my next upload. And I hope you're enjoying this. Please like and subscribe and do all the stuff. And by the way, I love comments and I love to interact with you guys. And if you're following along in painting, please join my Facebook group. The link is in the description. So I hope to see some of you there. See you later. Thanks for coming.